Hey everyone, it's Merja here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the personality decoder, and today I'm here with Lisa Payne, who is the managing partner of Simulov Academy of Human Integration, but also she's a senior integration mentor, specializing in Enneagram profiling, as well as she's been interestingly described by her clients as an emotional archaeologist. So, Lisa, welcome to today's episode. It's good to be here with you today. But you actually have some questions for me today. You said you're going to take this debrief, so let's do it.
I do. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. It's lovely to be here with you today, Merja. I have a few questions, and but first let me do what I do best, which is provide context as to why I'm doing all of this. You and I have finished work. When I say you and I mean mainly you, have finished work on creating and revising the 4 People Within, the 4 People Within transformational course, the INFx Unveiled healing course, and the integration mentor program, where you train other mentors to do the work that I'm doing and to do the work that you do. And so we've just finished like a really intense 18 months of doing this. I know that you were doing this longer before I even got involved, but for me, it's been a really good 18 months that you and I have been doing this. And so when I say doing this, what I mean is that Merja creates all the materials, and I read with her on a Monday. We do a sense check and see what it sounds like out loud, and then do some editing as we go along.
And also dyslexic.
Yes, and dyslexic. Yes, and it's been a really interesting time for me, and I know it's been a really interesting time for you. And we finished last Monday, and it's like we're at the end of something. And I sat there afterwards, and I went, "Wow, okay, that's been my Monday mornings for like the past 18 months,
for a year and a half." Yeah.
Exactly.
It's been great for me.
Yep. And so with doing this, it's all of a sudden hit me how much work has actually gone into it, and that the people who purchase it, the people who see the courses, they only see that what you put out, what you give to them. They don't actually see the work that has gone behind it. And because you're such a private person, you don't big up yourself. You stay behind the curtain more or less, and you get on and you do the work. And so the reason I wanted to do this is because I wanted to actually celebrate you. I wanted to bring you out from being behind the curtain. So this is sort of like a Wizard of Oz style-y video. Look, this is what happens behind the curtain. And also, even more important than that, what I wanted to do is I wanted to celebrate you. Because I think it's really easy. I know for me that this is true, that it is really easy to move from thing to thing to thing to thing. And you finish it and you just go on, and then you finish it and you go on, you finish it and you go on. And one of the big principles of the Integration Mentor Program is that we celebrate our wins. And also look at our challenges. So what I'd like to do today is to talk about the wins and to actually talk about the challenges that you've had whilst doing this, because whilst you're doing this, real life happens as well. And so we'll get into that a bit. And so I'm just going to jump straight into the questions, and this is going to be a bit rough and ready. And for anybody listening out there, don't be offended by anything that I say, because Merja and I know each other really, really well. So I can really get into these questions with her. So my first question to you, Merja, is what the fuck is wrong with you? As in, you do all of this work And then you just keep yourself on the side. You take, I mean, obviously you take credit for your work, but you don't come out there and go, this is what I've done. This is fantastic. This is wonderful. So give me a little bit into that. I know what, I mean, I'm an INFJ and you're an INFJ, so I know what INFJs can be like, but we're also really incredibly creative people.
Yes.
And the amount of output that you have put out over the last, well, not even just the last 18 months, but the last 6 or 7 years has been incredible. So give me some insight into,
What's
what
wrong
I'm
with
saying.
me?
Yes.
Okay, well, I love these spontaneous videos, and thank you for this question.
No problem.
What's wrong with me? Look, I'm a worker. I am a creative person. I've built my life in a way that allows creativity to be, it's not specifically creativity, but one of my top, if not my top value, is freedom of thought, which means that wherever I go, I bring myself with me. And it's not just the thought, it's not just the psychological entertainment. It's actually, how do I apply this? So what is this process I'm going through right now, and how am I going to apply it in everyday life so that I can continue my own personal integration and transformation? And a lot of the work that comes out, and so over the last 18 months, I've worked on 72 modules, and each one takes about 9 hours from start to finish. And when you put that on top of, when you put that time on top of, the mentoring training that I'm doing with the students, with my own, some of my own one-to-one work, which I do very little of these days, but probably still much more than most coaches out there. Our online communication, emails, like I try to get as much done myself as possible. Like I want to be available as much as I can for people who are reaching out, and I can't always do that, but I try to do it. And especially over the last 18 months, anybody who's in our, for example, in our Facebook groups, you notice that I haven't really been there much, whereas now I'm back. And you may have seen like a massive difference. And it's simply because I now have the luxury of a bit more time. So what the fuck is wrong with me? It could be any number of things, but I would say I have an inherited way, which is being industrious. My mother is one of the most industrious people I know, and I have been fortunate to inherit that. And with that industriousness comes creation of courses, books. Like I have a book. I have a book deal with a publisher, which I haven't, and I've had it for years, and I just haven't gotten to it. So it's, there are all these different things that should be done. And now I find, after having finished these 3 particular courses, or redoing of these particular 3 courses, I have another 2 or 3 courses out there that have not been redone yet. I won't be doing anything more this year, like until the end of the year. I'm not rewriting anything. So, but incidentally, we are doing something else, which I'm really excited about.
Yes.
Which is our, I don't know if I should say it.
It's up to you. This is your forum. This is your floor. Yeah.
So currently, the team and I are working on creating like an online personal development safe house. So so effectively our own social media platform, because a lot of people, a lot of our clients are no longer on Facebook. There's so much stuff in there that's not conducive to our mental health, and it's not conducive to our personal development. So we've actually decided to say, okay, we're going to have an alternative available, which is going to be invite only, and also very well moderated. It's a safe house, and that I think says it all.
It's focused. It keeps out the other clutter. It's a standalone platform for people to go to, exactly, to engage and interact with the work, and more importantly, with the people who are on the platform, and with those of us who are, you know, moderating and adminning and providing services from the platform. And that's I find that's really important as we go on, because the things like Facebook and social media in general becomes more and more cluttered. And sometimes it's really easy to miss the things that are actually important to you. And with INFJs and INFPs in particular. That we need that focus. We need that focused place to be able to go that cuts through all of the other crap, so that we're not having to wade through to see what is relevant for us. Is that accurate?
Focus, and also there's so much bullying going on online, like people just being dicks to each other. I'm over it. I've been over it for a long time. Anybody who knows me personally or is a friend on my personal profile sees how little these days people do it with me on my wall, because I've been having boundaries for so long. But I want to offer that space of safety to those who perhaps are not in a position to set those boundaries quite yet, because it's not an easy thing to do, especially like with your family, or, you know, people challenging you online, on your own wall, whatever. For me, it's like, look, you're in my house. You're not going to take a dump in my living room and then bugger off. That's not how we operate. We're all adults. So what you're going to do is you're going to conduct yourself with kindness and care. And if you don't agree with what I'm saying, feel free to post your opposing opinion on your own wall. It's all good. Like, we don't have to agree on everything. But I also don't want to be, I also don't want to be attacked because somebody has a different opinion. And I want to offer that sense of safety to those who need it.
Thank you for that. And it makes total sense to me, because I've always found that with your work and with your approach as well, is that there is this protective layer around people, because there is a lot of trauma out there, and we don't know what other people are going through. And it's also it can be incredibly triggering when somebody from out of the blue, who you don't know, when you're trying to do your healing and development work, attacks you. And you want that safe place to be able to go, and to know that you can let your guard down, and what happens there stays there. And I know what a huge difference that has made for me. So thank you for doing that, because that is it's such a wonderful idea.
And I think the idea actually came from the decision came from a mentor of mine, Linda Pirelli. She's my horse mentor. But I think the idea originally came from a client, a student who actually said, you know, I'm moving away from this platform. Do you have anything else available? And I just said, look, we don't right now. I'm sorry to see you go. But then I started asking around, you know, would you be interested in this? Because, you know, how are you feeling on Facebook? How are you feeling on social media? You know, the algorithms and everything, like, it just keeps you in a you just keep hearing your own opinions back to you all the time, and it's tough. So yeah, that's where it came from.
Yeah.
I know
that's
we've
fantastic.
diverted a little bit.
We have, but that's absolutely fine. It's and what I wanted to do, I mean, that because the main part of this for me is to actually celebrate you. I want you to know that for me, the work that you've done has absolutely changed my life. And in 2016, I was in such a bad place. And I started following your work, and then I became an integration mentor student. And in 2021, I am in such a different place. And the tools, the inner parenting, the 4 people within work to me has been transformational. And so having that work out there and with the revisions, the comprehensive revisions that you made, it's a new course. I mean, let's be fair. It's not the same course. It's a completely new course. Yeah. And what you do is you've put your experience and your knowledge that you've gained since first writing it and turned it into, you've really put flesh on those bones. I mean, there was flesh on it before, but you've not only put flesh on it, you gave it a winter coat. You gave it a nice hat. You made the thing good to go and ready to go down the catwalk. You made the 4 people within a strutting course, right? So before it's just like, hey, here's the 4 people within course, and it was transformational. But now it's like, look at me now. Check me out. Exactly, and that's how I feel about the 4 people within course. And I know that we don't say it enough, and it should be natural that when somebody actually touches your life, or when they do something that really makes a difference, that you actually let them know. There's a lot of times that we do these things, we're like, wow, that work was great, and then we just move on to the next thing. Yes. And it's like, hang on, how about I take a minute to actually celebrate the person who did the work, who created the work, and who was responsible for this? Because I don't know where I'd be now if it wasn't for this work. I mean, obviously I would have gone in a different direction, but I can't state this enough. This work is transformational, and it's been transformational for me. And I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy for you when you're actually going through it. So now I'm going to segue. Well, first, I mean, you don't have to, but do you have any comments about what I've just said, how I'm celebrating you?
Yeah, so anytime I hear this type of feedback, I feel like crying, and it feels like relief. And that may sound a little bit insane. I'm good with that. It's almost like I feel the relief of you becoming more of who you are. So when I hear that, that's how I'm feeling, and I'm always like, because it touches me in my heart. I remember some of our first, my very first communications. I think it was 2017.
Yep.
And people always say, how do you remember that stuff? Because this is important. It's important when somebody asks for help, or if I have a meaningful conversation. These are important things. Obviously, I'm having hundreds of conversations every week, so I might not remember everything. But the people who take this, such as yourself, who take this work and implement it and run with it, look at where you are. Like, yes, it's life-changing work, but you've done the work. and that's it's a real like symbiotic effort that we put together. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
It's humbling.
You're welcome. You've provided the tools, but I think with the tools, sometimes we just look at a tool as a tool, right?
Yeah.
We don't look at what has gone into making that tool, what has gone into crafting that tool, what has gone into creating that tool, so that you could hand that tool to me and say,
right,
okay, I've done my work. Now it's time for you to do your work. We look at it as like, hey, I've just gone to the shop and I've just bought this and that's it. But what about all of those hours, before that have actually gone into all of that?
Yeah,
so
that's a fair point.
Yeah. The second question I'd like to ask you is, when you were writing the 4 People Within, INFx Unveiled, and the IMP, and doing the revisions, what was the hardest part? Let's start with the 4 People Within. What was the hardest part of the 4 People Within? Because it is such a transformational course.
I think the hardest part was actually when I wrote about PTSD. And it wasn't the writing was okay. I mean, I could feel the PTSD actually creeping up because I'm sharing some personal stuff on that course. So as I was writing it, I could feel it starting to come up again, but that was fine. I, parented myself through that and moved on. And then, but when it was time to record, I have a recording studio up the road, which is hilarious because we live in the middle of fucking nowhere, right? So I was at the studio. It's literally like if I go across the paddock here, over the creek and across the paddock, it is a 6-minute walk, if even that. It's literally like a 1-minute drive. Once all your gear is in the car, it's 1 minute to get home in a car. Right. And I was recording the PTSD module, and I started to get the post-traumatic triggering, and I couldn't move. Like I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't. I couldn't even leave the recording room. Like I locked myself into that room. It sounds, like an overreaction, but I was so sure that if I left that room, that I would be killed. And my problem was that my phone was in another room because I can't have the phone in the recording room. So I couldn't call Peter straight away to come and get me. And this is 1 minute drive from home. So it's not a Herculean effect or effort to actually physiologically do that thing. But it is when your psychology is in that space where you can't function. And so I think that was the hardest thing about that, was to get out of that room, get the phone, call Peter to come and get me, and I had a really, really bad. It took me a couple of days to recover from that and start recording again.
Right.
So I think you hear it in that module as well, that I'm not doing well.
Definitely. And I think it's going to resonate so much with people who have PTSD, because we hear terms bandied about all over the internet, and people just use, they just use them as shorthand, right? Yeah. But those who actually really do have PTSD will resonate so much with what it is that you're saying. And also, that's one example that you gave of the PTSD. There were other times that you had PTSD whilst you were recording this as well. And so the compassion that is involved from both sides of, being there for you when you're going through something like this as much as I can, because I don't have PTSD. I haven't had to really deal with it with anybody in my life. So it's been a learning experience for me as well. So having that compassion for you, and being able to hold space and hold grace for you, and then also to remind you that you need to do that for yourself as well, rather than the jumping straight back into it as much as you can, because as you say, you've inherited this work ethic from your mother, right?
Yeah.
And so you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's like you'll have some PTSD, and then it'll be like, but I have to do this.
Yeah.
And when you're in the middle of it, sorry, let me just when you're in the middle of it, obviously, you can't do that. But when you get like even a little bit of the edge where you can start to see the light, it's like, I have to get back into it. I have to do this. And sometimes there's me going, hang on, Merja, this has just happened to you. Give yourself some space. Give yourself some time for this. And I hope that's been useful for you.
It has absolutely at times been useful. And then at times, because I've learned to use work as an anchoring point to reality, what reality actually is, as opposed to what the PTSD is telling me. It is, so you kind of have to play it by the ear and see which works. Do I need time, or do I actually need to work? Because as much as my clients need me, I need them at times as well.
I hear you.
And I'm aware enough, I guess, that I'm not in codependent relationships with my clients, but I also hopefully, when it's appropriate, give the appropriate thanks to the people who allow me to continue to do this work, because the work anchors. So it's both.
That makes total sense.
Plus you're in the UK, or you've been in the UK, or in New York, and I've just been here in Hunter Valley in Australia.
Skipping across the time zones. And that's one of the great things about the internet, that we can actually do that.
100%.
So I have the same question about the INFx Unveiled. What was the hardest part of the revising the INFx Unveiled for you?
I think for the INFx Unveiled, I wanted to bring in the 4 people within concept into that healing course, because it's a healing course designed for INFJs and INFPs. And it originally didn't have the 4 people within aspects in it, because if you know as an INFJ or an INFP the 4 different people that actually reside within you, then the whole healing process is much faster and easier. It's not easy, but it's easier.
Yes.
So that's one thing. But not bringing in the 4 people within, that was fine, but without losing the heart that I had given to that course years and years and years ago when I first wrote it. Because I hear the INFJs and INFPs and the struggles and the healing journey that we need to go through. I hear that so much. And simultaneously, I'm no longer where I was years ago when I first wrote it. So I didn't want it to lose its essence, the heart that I'd given it, whilst still improving on it. I mean, the 4 people, the INFx Unveiled course went from 6 hours to 12-ish hours. The 4 people then went from 6 hours to about 15 hours, something like that. So quite a lot. So please don't quote me on exactly on those numbers, something like that. It might have been raw material before editing, but a significant stretch for both. But I think, for the INFx Unveiled, it was keeping the heart that I'd given it and while still putting in more muscle around it.
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. There is this, and other people probably don't know this about you as well, is that you're always trying to give more value in the work that you do, and sometimes it can be there's too much in something, and then it's like, okay, right, what do I need to take it out so that it gives the value, but that it's not completely overwhelming.
Exactly.
As well.
Exactly, and that's the problem, the embarrassment of there's a saying, I'm butchering it now, I'm sure, but there's like an embarrassment of knowledge that comes when you've been, like, I've been doing this work, I've been coaching and training and mentoring people for 25 plus years, and because I continue my personal development every day, I don't ever think I'll ever arrive to anything. There's always more, and because that is how I'm wired. It can be challenging for me to work with the stuff that I was working with years ago. So, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do the integration mentor program was exactly for that reason, because there are amazing people, amazing mentors who are supposed to be doing this work. It's their passion, it's their purpose, and they can work with that, kind of beginning to medium level with people as people are getting to know their 4 people within and starting the inner parenting journey and so on. And then I can work with people who've been doing it for a little bit longer time, and people who want to become mentors and coaches themselves. So there's like a natural progression that happens in everyone's life, and my progression doesn't make any other work any less important. But it's just that I might not be there to do it, but I will make sure that somebody who cares about it as much as I do will be there.
Yes,
that makes sense. I don't know if I kind of went off.
That makes total sense, because you've answered my next question, which is it was going to be the same about the imp, about the hardest part for the imp as well. So with that, what was the most surprising thing to come out of the process as a whole?
That I can ask for help, and not just that I'll ask for it, but that I'll get it.
Yes.
I think that's probably it.
And that is monumental.
Yeah, it is for an INFJ. It is for any person who's been struggling with difficult upbringing where things weren't clear. When you've had to grow up too early, you learn not to ask for help. If you're an Enneagram type 1 or a shadow 2 Enneagram type, which I was for years and years and years, I thought I was a type 2. Either one of those will not ask for help for different reasons, as you know.
Exactly.
So
100%.
Yeah. So I think not just asking for help, yes, but also getting it, receiving it, allowing myself to receive the help.
Yeah, that is. Oh, yeah, that resonates. That resonates right in here.
Yeah.
In here with me. And conversely, what was the easiest part of all of this?
Peter, my partner, writes novels, and we were talking about this the other day. He was explaining to me his process, like he just sits down and just starts typing and it just comes through. And that was the first time I ever heard somebody describe my process. It's that easy. I've literally never had a writer's block ever in my life.
That's amazing.
You've probably seen it. I've never struggled with the actual writing. So if I haven't met a deadline, it's because something else has been going on that I've had to attend to, right?
Yeah.
In a year and a half, have you ever seen me have a writer's block? Like, I don't know what to say.
No. No. Definitely not.
There's two things in life I don't do, and people absolutely hate me for these two things. Writer's block, I don't do it. Jet lag, I don't do it.
Right.
Just don't do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. And that was an easy question as well for you, which is great. Now, obviously, you've brought so much more into the writing because over the last 18 months as well, you've taken one of the great things about being online is that we can take courses and that we learn more skills. And one of the things that makes the 4 People Within and all of the courses in general much richer, I think, from my perspective, is the work that you've been doing with MBTI.
Right. Yeah, of course. Sorry, I didn't hear. MBTI Global Step 2 assessment. Oh my God, the facet pairs. I mean, how to really see yourself how to be confronted by your own stuff that you just weren't aware of.
Yes.
And also another thing that I really love about the MBTI Global Step 2 assessment, personally, especially now giving it to people, is showing them how they're different within their types. So INFJ, so it shows at the very end of the report, this is where most INFJs land. Here's you, here's you, here's you, here's you, in like 20 different ways. And it's just incredibly fascinating, and I'm such a geek. Like, I'll never get tired of personal development because Enneagram was my first love, and then Myers-Briggs, and oh man, yeah, and never mind that, but I've studied all kinds of other things, University of London, business studies, horses studies. I got my bush firefighting qualifications. I'm a firefighter, so that took a good bit. It does. There's something really amazing happens to your brain, and it's basically called creating new neural pathways. That's what it's called. But it feels an amazing experience when you take a piece of knowledge and it's transferable, and you take that knowledge and you make it into a skill, and now you have a transferable skill, so you can take that skill from where you are right now and take it somewhere entirely different. So that's been pretty awesome. I always keep studying. I just love it.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I'm just keep on saying exactly. This has all been really amazing because now you go by the I'm going to say the moniker of the personality decoder, and there's so much experience, there's so much education, and you're putting it all in the pot and coming out with your own unique take on it. And I'm not going to say since you found your focus, because you always had a focus, but the focusing on the personality decoding as a whole, as a way to distill everything that you have experienced and that you have been taught, has been amazing to actually go in and see, and to see it all come together. And it's just a completely new way of doing things. How has that been for you?
As I mentioned earlier in this session today, freedom of thought is one of my top values, and it just keeps me alive. It it makes me feel joyous. It helps me on my bad days. Just being able to take a few different perspectives and tie them together, and then turn the perspectives into, so that the flashlight of your focus goes, you take that bunch of tools and then you put your flashlight of your focus over there and chuck those tools at it and make it work in that space, is just the most, I just feel like a child at Christmas, you know?
Yeah.
There's that great story, you've heard this, with the twins at Christmas. They're like 9-year-old children, two girls, and they both get a pile of poop for Christmas. And one of the twins is like, what am I supposed to do with this? This is a ridiculous Christmas present. Like, why would you ever give me this? What is this even? And the other girl starts digging and digging and digging in the pile of poop, and the parents ask, why are you digging? And the girl says, there has to be a pony in here somewhere. There's so much poop, there has to be a pony in here. And that's me. And that's me with everything that I do. It's like, where's the pony? And inevitably, I find the pony, because I'm relentless. I just keep digging until I find something that's gold. And I think that, and I just keep failing and failing and failing fast and failing often, because every time you fail forward, because you learn something from it.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, I just keep failing until I find that thing. And when I find that thing, that pony, my whole, like, it's like my whole reality changes in one moment. And then I just understand life on so much deeper level.
Yes.
So,
and that perspective that you have, and also the willingness to share it with others as well. You don't just learn it for yourself and then take it and then go off and do your thing. You always distill it out and disseminate it back to the rest of us as well. And that is one of the things that I am incredibly grateful for with you. You're not scarce with your knowledge. You're very abundant. You share.
yeah.
In the hopes, obviously, that other people will do the same. But if one person is touched and can make a difference with what they do, then that is worth it. I mean, I know you want to make a difference and an impact on a grander scale than one person, but it always starts with one person. And I'm not, putting down one person at all, because from that it just spider webs
the ripple
out
effect.
To, exactly. To being more and more. I have two more really quick questions for you.
I'd love to answer them. Can I just elaborate on that? Yeah, no, it's because it's just that sharing, right? In my later years, I have learned to measure the sharing. So if it's not reciprocal, I will eventually stop sharing with that particular person. So because it's an unsustainable model to continue to give, right? If it's not reciprocated, then you end up bleeding off yourself, without ever, being given back, as if you like. So that's obviously a very bad business model. But more to the point, that teaches people that it's okay for them to not actually do their work and not to commit to their process. So if I'm more committed to somebody else's change, that's bad news, right?
Yeah.
So there are people who just come in and they just take, and eventually then when you switch off the tap, because I have a certain limit. If you have, I'm over here and I'm starting to move toward you, and I move toward you and I move toward you. If you haven't moved toward me, I'm moving on to helping somebody else. And that's just a measure of the impact that I actually want to create in the world, not a measure of anybody's worth. If I'm not, I think I'm not naive enough to think that that I won't ever run out of energy. I know I will. And when there's a reciprocal sharing, that's what gives energy to both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because otherwise you're just talking to a brick wall. And what's the fun in that? There is none. There really, really isn't.
Too hard.
Exactly. It is too hard. So my next to last question is, so when you're not writing, what does Merja like to do? What lights Merja up?
Equine reproductive procedures. My little light study on the side. Well, I could give you a little dissection of my day if that helps you.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So, thank you.
Yeah. So I get up at about 4:30 in the morning, do a little bit of tidying for half an hour, and I get myself into a frame of mind to start working. So from 5 to 8, I work. From 8 to about 10, I have a break where I take the dogs, feed the dogs, take them out, have a sauna, do a meditation, and then at 10 o'clock, I'm ready to go out and start training with my horses. And I train with my horses for about 4 to 5 hours. Okay. Then I come back into the office, we'll have lunch, bit of a break, then come back into the office, work until about, well, it depends on summer and winter. Now we're coming into summer. So it'll be working until about 6, and then go and put the horses to bed, have dinner, and go to bed. That's my day.
Yeah, that's it's a real balance in there.
Yeah. So the main thing, because my days are long, right? The main thing is to put pauses when you're changing your focus so that you're not bringing the old stuff into the new activity. Yeah. So I get myself into a frame of mind, work, take a break, work with horses, take a break, work, and take a break, and finish the day.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And the being able to curate your own life, to do what you want, to gives you the freedom to what it is that you actually want to do with your life, rather than being the word I was going to say was enslaved, and that probably is the word, but rather than being enslaved to something and someone else, you're able to have the kind of day that you want. You put in all of this work, on the not on the horses side, but on the personal development side, and the courses that you do, and the mentoring that you do, and all of that, so that you can live the type of life that you really want to live. And I know that's really important to you, because you're not your work, your work comes from you, but that is not all of you. That's right.
And it's really interesting when people pigeonhole you. For the longest time, and I don't know if it still is the case, but I deliberately didn't tell people at the fire shed. I'm now the brigade officer, but for the longest time, I didn't tell anybody what I did, because I wanted to be a person. And this is not a, I know a lot of people say, oh, when you're famous, you owe people and all that kind of stuff. Well, honestly, I can't even relate to that really, because I'm not looking for fame. I just want to do the work, and the work happens to resonate with thousands and thousands of people all around the world. That's cool. and it serves people and it changes their lives every day. Like, I don't think that a day goes by that somebody doesn't tell me that the work has changed their lives, and that is profound. But also, I'm just a person. Like, I'm just a person with lots of mileage and the willingness to share what might work, and get remunerated for it. That's all I am. The biggest challenge in my professional life when I got into personal development was, will I just create some course behind some pseudonym or something? Because I am a very private person. I don't want to be stopped at the airport. It's like, no, I'm a person, I'm in transit. And no, let me do my work. Let me just focus on my work. And that might sound ungrateful to those who live in a transactional world where if you're somebody, then you owe something for it. I never wanted to be anybody.
Yeah.
It's never driven me, and it won't be driving me going forward. I do what I do because I love doing the things, not because of it will make me a millionaire or it will make me famous or whatever. Please don't make me famous. Just do the work and refer on to us more people who want to do the work. That's all I want is the impact. I don't.
Preach, sister, preach.
I don't want to sound like I'm not ungrateful, but I also know the value of my work. I know the value of it because I've seen it now for years, and with, as I said, thousands of people. So it is what it is. I'm focused on the work. I love doing the work.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me.
Okay. That's great. And I can hear the passion. No, this is good. I can hear the passion in you. And also, this is a really good lesson in boundaries as well. You've got your personal boundaries, you've got your professional boundaries. And it's incredibly useful for people like me who used to work 150 hours a day and think that I was irreplaceable. Well, been a lot of places shown that I'm very irreplaceable. So hearing that from you it's been really useful for me to actually, as I move forward, set my own boundaries in them. And it's much easier to live when you have your boundaries, your principles, and your standards within you. And then you can actually externalize them. It's like, look, this yes, this no.
Life becomes very easy and simple when you are clear on who you are and what drives you and what you want to produce from that drive. When you know those things, I'm not the person that people will call when they want to go out drinking. Not that I don't drink. Currently, I don't drink because currently I don't have the time for it.
Yeah.
But when I'm on holidays, no problem.
Yeah.
But it's like life becomes very simple when you're integrated to the point where you recognize all of the 4 different people within you and what they need, and then you live to give them that joy and safety and care and love and expansion, and then you share those people with other people, who are safe, hopefully your partner, whatever relationships are important to you. And that's when you have true sense of self and sense of belonging. And it's just makes me want to cry.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. I can hear it. I can hear it in your voice. So my last question for you is, what next? What next?
Sorry. What's next? So the safe house is on the way. The online safe house is on the way. So that's our own social media platform, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
For the rest of the year, just fun. Not that writing isn't fun, but I think I've been overdoing it a little bit over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So the promise has been no more courses this year. And then when I said that to Peter, he said, "What about the book?" I was like, "No promises." I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, what I would like to do is focus a bit more on the mentoring training and doing the Myers-Briggs, the decoding process with people. So I love, as you know, because Lisa, you're the student counselor for the Integration Mentor Program. I love training people who want to become coaches and mentors, who influence people, who create that impact in their corner of the world. I love that. So anybody tuning into this, if you've ever thought about being a coach or a mentor and you love the 4 People Within framework, or you don't know about it, but something spoke to you today, get in touch with us. But there are spaces in the groups that we have currently. So that's what I want to focus on. I want to have that point of impact bigger. I feel like I've been neglecting just talking about the mentoring training recently, because you can't do everything. Like, you can have everything you want, but not at the same time, right? So
yes, yep.
I won't be able to do have the conversations with people who might want to become mentors and coaches. So that's, I think, the next focus for me. Also, this month, September, we are doing another Blitz, personalized profiling Blitz. So I 4 times a year do a Blitz on MBTI, and get the profiling done, get the global step 2 done, which gives the facet pairs that I absolutely freaking love. Oh my God, I couldn't love it more. So that's what I'm focusing on right now. And then the platform will come, our own social media platform that'll come. That'll probably be ready for beta testing from January, I think. Okay. So we'll be sending some invites to our biggest raving fans out there to come and test the platform for us. It's going to be full of amazing courses and self-study material and modules, and it's going to be so much fun.
All sorts of fun and joy.
Yeah.
So Merja, the personality decoder, impacting people's lives one at a time, so that they can then go on and do the same for others and help them. Thank you so much for this time, because I know how precious your time is, and I also know how difficult it can be, just letting the light into a bit of you for everybody else to see. But I actually think it's really important that people understand who you are behind the work, because the work is really, really important, but the person who's creating the work is even more important than the work. So Merja, I salute you. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything that you've done and continue to do for me and everybody else. But I'm just a bit biased, me.
Thank you, Lisa. I can't tell you how much my 3-year-old loves to hear those words. But no, I hear you and I accept your feedback. Thank you.
Fantastic. I am so pleased.
Oh Lord, no, but thank you, because it's what you said there. The work comes from the person, and it's true. And I do simultaneously believe that somebody else can come up with similar work somewhere else, entirely comes to the same conclusions. But I gotta say that I feel privileged every day to be able to do this, and every day that I speak with a person, every time, it could be 15 times a day I speak to a person, and something that I've said or done has helped them. Lisa, it's just so humbling to know that you've played a small part in them letting go of that armor and becoming more and more of who they are. It's amazing.
Yep. Yes, I hear you. Thank you. And here's to fun and joy and happiness in the rest of the year.
Thank you, Lisa. And thank you so much for all your help throughout the years. I really appreciate it.
You are welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
You will, definitely.
Thanks for the question.
You're welcome. You are welcome. Yes.
I couldn't escape.
Yes.
I couldn't escape it this time. You got me on freaking video to do this. Thank you. There's a game, for those of you who don't know, there's a game of people trying to catch me. I'm trying to catch Lisa. She's trying to catch me on stuff like that we don't naturally want to do, and it's just a challenge. So thank you for this challenge.
You're welcome.
It's been good. It's been okay.
and that's it. The challenge is to be more of you. The work speaks for itself, yes, but the person who is creating the work, you, Merja, are a wonderful person as well. So putting yourself out there, you don't have to put yourself all the way out there. I mean, you don't have to just, cut yourself up but you're putting yourself out there for people, and that your story and the stories that you tell resonate so much with other people. And so my challenge is for you to put yourself out there more, and you have been doing that lately. It's been, the debriefs and all of the other work in the videos that you put, Q&As, yep, and the debrief from the Q&A has just been has been amazing. So more of that, please. And thank you again. Okay. Thank you again for your time.
I'll make more of an effort. Thank you. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
Bye.